So Bank of America just lost a jury trial over fraud charges, and one of our favorite judges, Jed Rakoff, will eventually have to decide how much they have to pay. Meanwhile, there's lots of talk of a big settlement between JP Morgan and US regulators, and that got you wondering, Ren Holding, whether
where
this
do
was
these numbers
13
come
billion.
from?
Where do the numbers come from? Are
and
there
it's
rules?
almost, as you point out, Richard, it's almost every day you're getting billions of dollars in settlements or a jury trial. Are these things pulled out of thin air? They almost seem that way, but actually there are statutes that prescribe for certain offenses what the penalty should be.
So in theory, you can tick through
in theory,
number of offenses, time, how bad it was, but then it starts to get subjective.
Well, let's look at this, this purported JP Morgan settlement for $13 billion, and that's under a statute called FARIA. I won't tell you what the acronym stands for. It's a 1989 law passed in the aftermath of the savings and loan crisis. Very high penalties, but defined penalties, $1.1 million per violation, or continuing violation, $5.5 million, or if bigger, the loss or gain to the perpetrator. A lot of room there to mess with it, but if you're just going by the $1.1 and $5.5 million figures, you're talking about thousands of mortgages that have to add up to whatever the billions of dollars
but then you also have to treat all the mortgages separately, and and maybe not in the same context.
Are they really doing that?
Right.
Highly doubtful.
But also maybe not in the same context, but in your excellent sort of review of all this stuff, there was one example where I think it was the SEC decided that a whole bunch of investors receiving some document were a separate example, separate offenses, but the judge eventually
case, and the bent, the son and the father bent, and I can't remember the name of the mutual fund now, but it was, and the government said, look, we've got 200 instances where you've sent out these brochures. We think that each one is a violation. We think you owe us $130 million. This one was reviewed by a judge. The judge said, no, that's one offense. Total
so that cut it down.
$700,000.
Right, so totally different
Look at
numbers.
the range of that, and look at the way these things can vary. So even though there are these, strict regimes, SEC case, they have three tiers of violation. Each tier has a limit of a maximum penalty. Even though you have those kind of defined amounts, you come up with these widely varying numbers.
Last point, it seems like if you're, Goldman Sachs, when Goldman was sort of in the eye of the government, if you're JP Morgan now, you get slightly tougher treatment, even though the statutes in theory lay this out.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the focus of not only the enforcers, but Congress, the public, that's probably not going to be good for you. And it may not be a good idea to be that high profile, because the public and or Congress are going to be looking for some tough fines that really, may not be even-handed in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, we'll leave it there, Ren. Thanks a lot. We'll follow all these settlements as they come through, and we'll have more breaking views for you tomorrow.